the front page. I'm Lembit Opik and welcome to Press Release here on Press TV, where we find the facts, kill the spin and tell it like it is about the news making the headlines. This week we'll be looking at stories from all around the world and sorting out the reality from the rubbish. First, a roundup of recent events with the incidents that cause more questions than answers. We'll find out why the best place to teach racism might be England. We also find out all about a new ship entering the Iranian Navy service, a country which wouldn't even have to build new ships if other countries didn't keep threatening to invade them. And we ask, why has President Donald Trump's America become so terrified of losing wars against China, Russia, and pretty much everyone else? What a week, what wildness, what a world! Let's get down to the details and separate the political friction from the political fiction. It's not an official lesson on the school agenda, but if you want your children to learn how to be racist, maybe you should send them to study in Britain. It turns out that racial abuse cases in UK schools have gone up a lot. The Guardian newspaper reported that about 5,000 cases of racial abuse had been seen in UK schools in 2017, an increase of about 10% compared to 2016. And those are just the ones we know about. It's certain that a lot of racial abuse across UK schools is never reported. Now, former British Prime Minister David Cameron had a good solution to all these reports of racial abuse. He took the obvious and money-saving step of saying, if the bullying statistics are that bad, let's stop collecting the statistics. Brilliant! I wonder if, using the same logic, he stopped opening letters from his bank after he lost his job as Prime Minister. While the police did investigate the attacks on a Syrian schoolboy called Jamal, that was mainly because the media went mad about it and reported on the attacks on the boy, creating great anger across the land. Good work there. Never mind the law. If you want to stop racism, go to the press and get them to print something about it. The weirdest thing about all this is that the United Kingdom is populated by foreigners. I don't just mean the people who have moved there recently, I mean everyone. When you look at the genetics of the local population, they've got all kinds of genes inside them, going back to the Romans, the Norwegians, the Swedes, and just about every other country that could land there by boat. And get this, lots of English people are 45% French. A large number of them are 25% German. You know, the Germans, the ones the English can beat in wars, but not in football. What does all this mean? It means that when English people are racist against other nations, the odds are they're being racist against a big proportion of their own genetic identity. In other words, if you want to be a racist in Britain, it means you basically have to hate yourself.
What?
Magnifique! At sea, the Iranian Navy has launched a domestically built destroyer, the most advanced military vessel it has ever built. Yes, those backward horse-riding bunch of farmers seem to have worked out what radar-evading stealth properties means. And, abandoning sailing for another day, this little beauty can stay at sea for 5 months without resupply. It's called the Sahand Destroyer, and is described as the result of daring and creative design relying on the local technical knowledge of Iranian experts. The vessel has a flight deck for helicopters, torpedo launchers, anti-aircraft and anti-ship guns, surface-to-surface and surface-to-air missiles, and electronic warfare capabilities. Who would have thought it? No doubt some of Iran's enemies assumed that, apart from trying to build an atom bomb, all Tehran had to offer its army as weapons were sticks and stones, and if those don't work, a box full of white flags. They might want to think again now.
On the verge of the 40th year of the glorious Islamic Revolution and letting the global arrogant powers eat its heart out, I announced the command of adding and joining Iranian destroyer Sahan to the South Navy Fleet of Islamic Republic of Iran Navy.
Of course, none of this would be necessary if other countries didn't keep threatening to attack Iran. But I guess that's the bullies' charter. They just don't like it when the bullied get ready to fight back. No country is perfect, but those that pretend they are can't be surprised when the other countries might get a little bit worried, just in case the perfect ones will try and invade them. While Iran improves its self-defense, it turns out that America has no defense. A Congress-sponsored report by the National Defense Strategy Commission said the US can't fight two wars at once anymore and might even lose one to China or Russia. A former US Senate foreign policy analyst, James Jatras, said,
predictably, this will provoke hysteria here in Washington to spend even more money, even though it's quite clear the problem is one of a lack of strategy and a lack of focus, and that throwing more money at the problem won't do any good at all.
I guess they're not spending enough money on the military, huh? Well, I did a little piece of research on this. It seems they are spending less. It's going down to only $700 billion. That's enough to buy 140,000 million McDonald's Big Macs, 10,000 Brexits, or 1,000 American presidencies, even without Russian assistance. Those poor Americans. Look, let's get real here. When it comes to investing in war, America spends 10 times as much as the Russians and 3 times as much as the Chinese. There can be only 2 possible reasons why Washington is so afraid. Firstly, they might be afraid that their military is 1/3 as good as China's and only 10% as good as Russia's. Or perhaps it's just that Donald Trump has used up all the bombs, so now they have to make some more. I've never declared war on anyone, but even if I did, I wouldn't need $700 billion to win it. If I had that much money, I'd invest in the country I wanted to invade, and then they'd say, well, we've just got to get on with Lembit now. Sadly, this doesn't seem to be the American way. They'd rather be able to fight Russia and China and win, or to have 2 wars at once. What's wrong with these people? The last time I nearly had a fight, a very long time ago, I said, sorry. He said sorry, and then we had a nice cup of tea, which was 250 billion times cheaper than the American defense budget. This is all about the mighty American mindset. They're paranoid. They think everybody hates them. Well, in a way, they might be right. A lot of people do. But they don't hate America enough to attack them. I don't like coffee, but I'm not going to declare war. Chill out, America. You aren't loved by a lot of countries, but we'll still shake your hand. Make peace, not war, man. And as usual, I'll make some predictions about what could happen in the weeks ahead. Firstly, I predict England will introduce a new response to racism. It will recognise that its population in its entirety has a foreign background, and then it'll make it a legal requirement for you to hate yourself. Following Iran's successful launch of a new fighting vessel, the Sahand, the West will apologise for making this investment necessary. And America, terrified that it has not got enough bombs, missiles or aircraft to defeat another country in a war, will declare war on itself, because that way it can't lose. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and join me next time on Press Release here on Press TV, the show that takes the political fiction out of the political friction. Hold the front page, but don't trust it. Trust me.